Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and today we're going to be talking about an active severe thunderstorm warning for the lower west region of Western Australia. Then we're going to be talking about a tropical low development up in the Arafura Sea, which could actually now impact the Northern Territory in a significant manner. And then we'll go to New South Wales and southeastern Queensland and talk about a significant amount of rainfall that is on the cards there. If you haven't already, then please do consider subscribing and also leave a like on the video while you're at it. Your support really does mean a lot. We're going to start things off, of course, with this active severe thunderstorm warning. You can skip around to the timestamps in the video description to what part of the video suits you, but first off, our little talk on the active severe thunderstorm warning. We've had some nice thunderstorms blow up in the last couple of hours between Jurien Bay and Lancelin, just towards the north of Perth. These thunderstorms are bringing heavy rainfall to the lower west and central west region of Western Australia, where rainfall accumulations up to 50 millimetres an hour are possible. They aren't an immediate threat to the Perth metropolitan area, but if they are, a detailed severe thunderstorm warning will be issued in the area. Considering they have just fired up recently, we're not 100% sure of the magnitude of what they are going to become over the course of today, but there is a good chance that in the next 3 hours or so, some dangerous severe thunderstorms could enter the Perth metropolitan area, and the risk of strong to severe thunderstorms remains for the Perth area over the coming few hours. Now, do not be fooled. The news is going to be all over this with their clickbait titles of dangerous or huge monster severe thunderstorms or whatever. They're going to break a record-breaking drought or something. That's not the case. These are stock standard severe thunderstorms here with heavy rainfall and some wind gusts up to 90 kilometers an hour. They should not be damaging or dangerous severe thunderstorms, with the only major threat being the fact that they're going to really dampen up these roads and make driving conditions hazardous, and they are likely not going to be drought busting either. I'm expecting a maximum of 20 millimeters of rain today in the Perth metro area. Down where I live, I'm not even expecting 10 millimeters of rain, but the northern suburbs could still pick up a healthy rainfall total. In other words, these thunderstorms are not going to be world-ending for the Perth area. Now, if we take a look at the radar imagery, here, you can see some nice severe thunderstorms already starting to line up the coast here. They are actually remaining out to sea at this point, with just a few cells over land right now, but still dumping some incredible rainfall totals. We're talking nearly 200 millimeters an hour here on the reflectivity. I've never seen accumulations such this high, so there's probably going to be some hail in these thunder cores as well. But as they crawl down the Perth coastline, it looks like they are going to weaken as they normally do, but they have just very recently blown up again. We're just going to have to wait and see. So for Perth residents, I advise you to keep an eye on the radar today and take it really easy on those roads, especially this evening when they do start to wetten up a little bit more, because they are going to be very, very slippery with 7 months of oil built up on top of the rainfall that will get themselves into the roads. But yeah, that is enough talking about the current severe thunderstorm threat down in Perth. Just make sure you're taking it really easy today. It's nothing to be panicking or worrying about at this time. Just, as I've said, take it easy, watch the radar and watch the Bureau of Meteorology as well. I'm not expecting these thunderstorms to go super severe where we're talking about dangerous hailstones or massive rainfall accumulations, but there is a good chance that we still do see some very heavy rainfall and locally damaging winds in the Perth metro area, and I can really hear these wind gusts just outside my window right now. Now, we're going to take a look at this developing tropical low up in the Arafura Sea. There's been a bit of a change in the forecast from the eastern relief model. It is only going to be forming this weekend, so it's crept upon us quite fast, that's for sure. We're going to start to see this tropical low swirling around in the Indonesian islands near the Indonesian New Guinea, not quite Papua New Guinea, the independent nation there, but between Timor and New Guinea as well. We're going to see this tropical low spin up probably next Monday or Tuesday, before intensifying very briefly on Wednesday and Thursday as we get to the 8th and the 9th of May, before going for Cape Wessel, Nullarbor and the northeastern parts of the Northern Territory, and it looks like it makes a cyclonic landfall on the Northern Territory. Now, this is just one forecast run of the 3 major forecast models, and both the GFS and the Eastern Relief model are not expecting an Australian tropical low or cyclone landfall at this time. It's just one forecast out of many. What does concern me is the fact that the Eastern Relief can actually be a pretty reliable model in the long range, but I don't think that they're going to be a reliable model in this sense here. Again, if we're going to be talking about Australian landfall, it's going to be happening about 8 days out in advance, and we're going to need to take it until about Saturday or Sunday to be giving a proper good forecast on what's going to be happening in terms of an expected Australian landfall here, which again, I'm not 100% certain is going to be happening. There is still a good chance we see a tropical low. I'm giving an 80% chance for classifiable or designated tropical low up in the Arafura Sea or Gulf of Carpentaria sometime early next week. And I'm going to say maybe a 25 or 30% chance for tropical cyclone up there. I'm not going too bullish on my chances right now, considering, again, it's very odd to see cyclone activity this late on in the season, especially up here, but we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, in terms of the cyclone landfall on the Australian mainland, probably less than 5% at this time. And like I said, both the GFS and the XSG3 model are not cooling for anything in terms of the cyclone landfall, especially not the XSG3. And considering the XSG3 and the GFS are barely calling for a tropical low even anymore, I might go as far to say that this system is probably going to be a bust storm. Now, the GFS is still somewhat on board with this swirling tropical low in the Philippine Sea. I'm not 100% sure what they're expecting at this point, because you'd think by Thursday next week it already starting to be developing, but don't think that it's going to be happening now, or at least it's not going to be as strong as what we once thought. But we'll again just wait and see over the coming couple of days, and there'll be more coverage on that system, of course, on the Cyclones Extra channel, my purpose-built tropical cyclone tracking channel around the world of tropics. And there's also going to be an update on there later today about a developing system in the Seychelles north of Madagascar, which is going for Mozambique, so stay tuned for that. In terms of rainfall accumulation on the Australian mainland, I mean, that does look to be the main threat at this time, and Cape Wessel sure will pick up some significant rainfall accumulations from this developing tropical low. It's depending on where it goes, of course, but still 500 millimetres expected there. The ECMWF model expecting about 400 to 500 millimetres as well on some of these islands around Cape Wessel and down towards Nullarbor, but it really is only the extreme remote northeastern quadrant of the Northern Territory and Kakadu, the really remote part of Australia, that gets any kind of decent rainfall, talking about 100 millimetres or more. But still, some rainfall is possible in some more of the populated parts of the Northern Territory, down towards Catherine, Jabiru, and even towards Darwin as well. Not that Darwin's expecting anything, but there is still a chance of some rainfall there in the next 10 days. Rather unusual for this time of the year. For far north Queensland as well, considering the proximity of the location to the tropical cyclone's expected formation site, there could be some significant rainfall there, probably 200 millimetres on Thursday Island. Lockhart River as well could see a healthy 100 or 120 millimetres, but down towards far north Queensland as well, where we're around Innisfail, Belen and Kerr, I'm not expecting anything significant, just a stock standard 100 millimetres over the next 10 days, which is nothing out of the ordinary for them. Now let's go and talk about some rainfall for New South Wales, where we could be seeing a developing east coast low in around, I think it is this weekend. It's just going to be kind of this upper level trough that's going to develop over New South Wales on Saturday. In fact, Friday afternoon, driving some thunderstorm activity through there from Friday onwards. And we could be seeing some of that rainfall collide with the New South Wales coastline and create a pretty wet weekend, especially Saturday and Sunday, with some driving showers expected between Wollongong right up towards Newcastle and beyond. By the looks of things, maybe up towards Taree. You could be seeing 50 millimetres on Sunday for the New South Wales, for Sydney rather, and other parts of the New South Wales coastline, and with some damaging winds and some large waves as well. Not really expecting a full-blown east coast low anymore, but it will still be rather windy and rather wet Sunday and maybe even into Monday as well. Still a fraction of the strength of what we were expecting a couple of days ago. Still, the ECMWF model is by far the strongest model in terms of a forecast intensity for this thunderstorm event. Both the XSG3 and the GFS model are barely calling for some rainfall here, so if I was in New South Wales, it's a pretty uncertain forecast. I think that the Bureau of Meteorology is calling for 20 millimetres of rainfall on Sunday for Sydney, but it is a rather uncertain 20 millimetres of rainfall there. Again, it's probably just going to be a wait and see what happens on the day sort of thing on Saturday and Sunday for the rainfall around Sydney. I'd still expect some heavy showers in the vicinity, but I'm not expecting as much rainfall as what the ECMWF forecast model is expecting. I think they're going very bullish on all sorts of rainfall all around the nation over the next 10 days. They've just had a bit of a bullish run. And we'll see another low pressure system impact the area next Wednesday and Thursday, but we're talking about 8 days out in the future now, so a pretty hard sell to make on the forecast, and again, we'll just have to wait and see. But all of this rainfall, this steady 50 millimetres here, 50 millimetres there, and then 20 millimetres in between is going to add up, and we're probably going to be looking at rainfall accumulation accumulations up to 250 millimetres for parts of the New South Wales coastline, and even inland as well could be seeing up towards 150 millimetres in some areas too, and they'll extend right up towards the Gold Coast, Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast too. So again, don't underestimate some of these rain showers. They will cause some significant rainfall, and all of that rainfall will of course add up to what we could be seeing some pretty significant rainfall towards the end of the end of this week and into early next week as well. We'll just have to wait and see on a forecast like this. It's a rather uncertain one, and as you can see between other forecast models, there's really not much congruency here. The Access G3 model still calling for some significant rainfall, but not as much as the Eastern Relief model. So yeah, again, we'll just have to wait and see on a situation like this. For damaging wind gusts as well on the New South Wales coastline, I'm not expecting an awful lot of interesting stuff to talk about. Yeah, definitely not this weekend. Maybe 60 kilometres an hour is a worst case scenario. And then to early next week as well from the Eastern Relief, not expecting anything crazy there either. So I don't think that this is going to be a situation where we've got an East Coast low just offshore. I think it's more going to be just some upper level trough activity causing some significant rainfall activity over the Sydney area. But again, I've said this about 100 times in the past couple of minutes. We're just going to have to wait and see, and I'll be able to give a more detailed forecast closer to the time, maybe this coming Friday or Saturday, depending on what actually happens and what congruency we see on the forecast models. In terms of other interesting weather happening around the nation, of course, it's that time of the video. Really nothing apart from that significant rainfall that's expected around Western Australia, especially throughout the course of today. There's some heavy showers and thunderstorms possible, and also into tomorrow morning as well. Looks like it peaks tomorrow afternoon and then into Thursday morning, when it should hopefully start to ease off with the passage of a cold front by Thursday evening, which could bring some pretty cool conditions as well Thursday night and into Friday morning for the Perth area. But again, thunderstorms, it is a rather uncertain forecast, and I do think that there's going to be some variables in here, and there'll of course be some hit and miss rainfall as well. There'll be some areas that pick up 50 millimetres around the southwest or in the Perth area, and then other areas that pick up close to zero, or in fact they do pick up zero. I would also like to talk about convective available potential energy again for the Perth area. It's going to be really, really high. I've never seen Cape values this high, which means there is going to be a lot of energy, a lot of fuel in the atmosphere to drive some very significant thunderstorm activity, and that's why we're seeing these strong thunderstorms around the Jurien Bay Lancelin region right now, because we're seeing 3,000 kilojoules per kilogram of air in terms of energy in the atmosphere, which is sky high values for thunderstorms. That's kind of tropical values through there, and yeah, it will be driving some pretty significant thunderstorm activity throughout the course of today. This is a gnarly picture to be looking at on satellite imagery as well. I've never seen convection this intense around the Perth area, and it does look like there could be some pretty strong thunderstorms moving in at this time. But again, don't panic, and we're just going to have to watch the radar and watch the Bureau of Meteorology. But I do think that the risk of some severe thunderstorms in the Perth area today is going to be quite elevated. So if you do live in Perth, make sure you're staying safe on the roads and staying safe out there as well, not doing anything dangerous. But yeah, that basically does it for this video. If you did enjoy it, then please do consider leaving a like, and also subscribe as well. Give me a weather report for your location in the comment section down below. All the support recently does mean a lot. Share this video with your family and friends as well to give them a weather forecast too. But that is all for me, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.